Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our daily debate. In today's debate, we are going to talk about Egypt's economy on its path of transformation to become productive and depending on exportation. That would be our topic for discussion for tonight. But we'll start with our top stories, where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Tuesday Chief Justice of the African Constitutional and Supreme Courts, participating in the 8th conference organized by the Egyptian Constitutional Court for African Constitutional and Supreme Courts. The meeting was attended by the head of the Supreme Constitutional Court, Council Boulis Fahmy, and a number of the court judges. President Sisi stressed Egypt's keenness to support the role of the judiciary in the African countries. The head of state lauded the pivotal role played by the Supreme Constitutional Courts of the African states in activating the judicial protection for the African citizens within the framework of the constitutional legitimacy's role in achieving a balance between citizens' rights and freedoms. For his part, Fahmy thanked President Sisi for his continuation of support and hailed his keen interest to maintain the role played by the Supreme Constitutional Court in Cairo, as well as enhancing cooperation among the African judicial bodies. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Tuesday stressed his keenness on providing a batch of investment incentives to attract investment and international and local companies to operate in Egypt. Speaking during a meeting with the executive head of the U.S. company Concentrix, Christopher Caldwell, in Cairo, President Sisi hailed the expansion of the company in Egypt. He said that such an expansion comes in line with the state's keenness on boosting the infrastructure in the fields of communication and information technology. The head of state said Egypt had launched a number of training programs to boost and develop the capabilities of the cadres in the digital field in order to prepare the youth for the labor market in that field. The president noted that the state is keen on providing investment incentives to attract international and local companies to work in Egypt in order to improve the level of providing services and raise competitiveness in resourcing industry within the Digital Egypt strategy. During the meeting, the company senior official reviewed plans to expand in Egypt and create various job opportunities in that field. And back to our topic of discussion for today's debate. Prime Minister Mostafa announced that the government is working to finalize a new export subsidy program within the first 3 months of the year 2025.
The Ministerial Entrepreneurship Group established a decree from Egypt's Prime Minister in September has concluded discussions on a unified definition of startups and a financial package proposal to support the sector. The group, chaired by the Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Mashad, aims to enhance the capabilities of startups and the broader entrepreneurial ecosystem to achieve sustainable economic growth through competitiveness and innovation. During the group's meeting, Mashad emphasized that working groups had held intensive sessions over the past period to discuss various proposals and recommendations from key sector stakeholders, including startups and investors. She also highlighted that these discussions will culminate in creating a comprehensive startup charter, which is being finalized. The charter will be a roadmap to bolster investor confidence in Egypt's startup ecosystem. It will also provide a clear path to sustainable growth and development for emerging businesses. Moreover, it establishes a legal structure that encourages venture capital investment and enables startups to benefit from facilitation packages and incentives, which will be announced soon. These efforts align with the government's broader objectives under the National Structural Reform Programme, which seeks to empower the private sector and create a conducive business environment. As part of these efforts, Egypt aims to increase the private sector's share of total investments to 65% by 2030. Private investments have surged by 30% in the first quarter of the fiscal year. Egypt established advisory committees to strengthen government and private sector collaboration. The state sets a proposed financial framework to involve government entities, private sector, and international development partners. Egypt recognizes the sector's critical role in shaping the future of economies, especially with the rise of emerging technologies and impact of artificial intelligence on various development fields.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. To shed more light on this, we are very much delighted to be joined here in the studio by Engineer Mostafa Nagary, the Deputy Chairman of the Egyptian Exporters Association, Expolink, and the Agriculture and Irrigation Committee Chairman in Egyptian Businessmen Association. Always a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Thank you so much for being our guest.
It's a pleasure to be with you. In 2025, this is our
first episode indeed together.
Yeah.
Always our pleasure, Engineer Nagary. Sir, what steps Egypt is taking to transform its economy in order to become a productive economy and to depend more on exportation?
Of course, if we talk about 2024, it was not an easy year for the region and for Egypt in general in the economic respect. However, we see that according to the declaration of the Central Bank of Egypt, we had a quite good revenue, and if we can say that the foreign investments for 2024, it had reached $47 billion, which was a glorious year for Egypt. After 2-3 years, it was the income was not that good, and we can realize that last 2-3 months inflation was decreasing, which is a sign of rational monetary and financial policies which have been taken by the government and the Central Bank of Egypt. This was giving a good sign for Egypt that we are going on the right channel, if we can say, or the right way. Of course, for exports, we see that there was a quite good increase, about $41 billion. The 2023, it was only 35.5, which means that about 17% increase in the exports, which is giving a breeze to the economical society and the manufacturer and the producer, that we all can reach $100 billion by 2020, by 2030. So it was, although it was a difficult year, but I think there was a lot of challenges. I mean, we all hear what His Excellency Prime Minister is always saying, that the Egyptian people have suffered a lot while the country is moving. And this is the answer of your question, that Egypt is on the right way. We realize that a lot of investors are coming from Turkey, specifically in the textile sector, and China as well. They have a global program to move out. A lot of industries, they have a program called the Go Global, and Egypt is one of the target for them. And His Excellency Kamil Wazir is trying to do his best to afford industrial zones, new industrial zones, because the demand is really quite good.
Yes. Engineer Nagary, to what extent doubling the Egyptian exportation is considered one actually of the crucial files in which the government is depending on to enhance our national economy?
As everybody knows, that the income of the foreign currencies, it's have specific channels for the Egyptian economy.
Indeed.
And of course, exports was one of that, which we always say that exports are, we call it, it's very promising, as we have seen that the Suez Canal was affected a lot. The income of the Suez Canal was affected a lot according to the geopolitical crisis in the Red Sea. And in certain times, also the transfers from the Egyptian outside was affected in 2021,
due to the existence then of the black market.
But the exports have always been stable or tending to increase. And that's why everybody is really trying to focus on that. We are trying to analyze the 13 sectors which is contributing in the total non-oil exports. And we have seen that, of course, a sector like the building materials have done a very good job. 2024, if they have exported by themselves only about $10 billion, about 25% of the non-oil exports was only related to the building materials. And then it came the fertilizers, and after that came the food industries and agriculture and industrial engineering. All the sectors were having a specific percentage of increase, which really we say that we can do much better, of course, because we analyze each sector. I mean, we have been talking before about the sector of food industry and agriculture. And we always have to point that the average export price of these two sectors are still low, and we can do much better. So we are analyzing, we are trying to remap the agriculture area of Egypt, what we are going to plant according to the challenges of water. And we have to calculate the value of each cubic meter of water and each square meter of land.
Sir, how actually can the state encourage the innovation and increase the competitiveness of the national economy? And that could be done through developing the technological infrastructure and enhancing the entrepreneurship.
As we always say that the private sector is still looking for more lands, either industrial lands or agricultural lands. We are also still looking for stability of the foreign currency exchange against the Egyptian currency, which will give more and more stability and will help the exporters to have long-term agreements, which is really the target of our trade, is always to have long-term agreements, export agreements. I can tell that 2 weeks ago the Parliament have agreed to a law for the agency of exports guarantee program, which is very good because it will secure the payment for exporters even with the most risky markets. And we can say that all the markets are risky. The changes are happening day and by day, and then so it was really a good sign from the government that they are trying to push more and more exports. For the SMEs, of course, because this is, as we say, the third column for the economy, and I think they are supporting SMEs a lot. There is a lot of programs are done for the SMEs. They are trying to help them to have a clusters, if we can say. They are supporting them by training. They are supporting them by digital programs for having correct data about the markets out there. Egypt, of course, is merging a lot in agreements. We have seen that in 2024. We have at least we were one of the BRICS Plus members at that time. And I think that also the continent free trade agreement in Africa would be also a support of Egypt, and that's why last week we had a meeting with His Excellency Minister of Foreign Trade and Investment, and he was talking a lot about Africa, that there will be several hubs, regional hubs in the continent, trying to support the Egyptian exporters in all items to try to be more and more to the continent.
Yes. Sir, what actually is the role played by the digital transformation, the digital technologies in creating a digital economy through developing the infrastructure and creating a conclusive business environment, as well as investing in the human capital and supporting the digital entrepreneurship?
I think this is the key word for the economy and for the industry and for agriculture and everything. So even yesterday we had a gathering with one of the multinational institutions. It's all talking about the digitalization and about what sort of help this would affect manufacturers and the farmers and all this society. We all believe, I mean, that we are in agriculture now, we are using the smart farming programs either by satellites and sensors. So it's really giving very good results, very positive results about reducing the quantity of water for irrigation and also reducing the chemicals and pesticides. On the other side, it is increasing the productivity. So this is one item. Of course, other companies are trying to have the drones, while still until this moment we should go for several approval.
Yes, of course, security.
Of course, but we hope. I mean, today we are here. I really request to facilitate using the drones for the, all of the sectors, especially for agriculture. Using the drones will have, as we say, a marvelous step further for increasing our production in food.
Sir, how is Egypt enhancing its infrastructure to support the export as well as supporting the SMEs?
Of course, for the infrastructure, we are seeing a lot of improvement have been done in the country for several years. For the last 10 years, I mean, in all the sectors. I think lately, if we can talk about the ports, Egyptian ports, of course, a great increase have been there. They are trying to have several logistic area among the country. We see that, of course, there was one good trial. I hope it's not not be the only one. There was an agreement for a fast boat serving specifically for the Egyptian exports from Damietta to Trieste, only in 68 hours, which will save a lot of money, will save a lot of cost for exports, will allow some items which we used to load by air, it will be loaded by sea. Which is going to give a push for that exports. On the other side, I see that the airports as well is under negotiation for new management. I think this will help a lot for the tourism. We have seen the last reports about the tourism in Africa. Egypt was number 2 after Morocco. But if we go deeply into analyzing, Egypt had 15.7 million visitors, and Morocco have 17.5 million visitors. But the income came from, for Morocco it was only $10 billion, for Egypt it was $17 billion, because Egypt is, of course, it's a wider country. We have a lot for the visitors. That means that each visitor is spending more than $1,000 $50 in Egypt, while they are spending
Less.
in Morocco 525. So at least we are trying to increase number and values, and that's why we are all, we always have open doors with the government, as it is well known. So everybody is trying to give his ideas and about his feedback according to the experiences to try to increase the income of the exports and all the services which Egypt can do.
Yes. Sir, do you think that enhancing the export will positively impact Egypt's trade balance and reduce the state's reliance on import, as well as influencing the employment rate as well?
As always, we say that there is still a gap between the imports and the exports.
Of course.
And we are not to decide to say that we have to decrease the imports just as a title. I mean, because a big portion of the imports really goes to the industry, and it goes as a inputs for the agriculture and all the services. So, but we have to define whatever we can produce in our country, we have to do it, because no one country in the whole world can do everything.
Of course.
But at least there is a balance, and we always say that the trade is having two wings. One is export and one is import. So at the end we have to make these two wings able to help this creature to fly, as we say. Yeah.
Of course. Sir, do you agree that expanding export markets will actually strengthen Egypt's currency on the long term?
We used always to say that there is traditional markets, and there is always plans for new markets. But I can tell you that you cannot rely on what was said before, because one of the traditional markets is our neighboring countries. And if you look to our neighbor countries, they are all in big problems. And that's why if we have to remind ourselves that during second half of December 2024, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have visited Norway and Denmark and Ireland. And they are, only Denmark was in the EU, but the other two countries was in new markets, and they are trying to increase. So we have to look more and more further.
Yes, open up for new markets.
Open the markets. And you cannot depend that there is a stable market at the time being in the whole world. But you have always to be ready. You have to have your competitiveness in all your production, and be ready to open always as markets as you can say. But the changes are too fast and too much really that you cannot have a strategy. Of course there is plans, but at the end, you know, there is a lot of the changes which is happening every day. So at the end you should build your competitiveness. You have to be, you know how to move. You have to get a good scale of maneuvering, so you can always change your ideas, but always have a target to export more and try to increase your exports year by year.
Indeed. So what infrastructure improvements are necessary to support, to increase the export, and how can Egypt penetrate new international markets effectively?
Infrastructure in general is, you know, it's a wide word, if you can say, because one of the infrastructure for the economy is the laws and the legislations. We have been always talking about stability in the legislations for the investment, try to have a much more attractive environment for the investment. This was, we call it infrastructure for the economy. If you go with a good laws, with a stability in the laws, you don't have to change always your laws. But at the end, we are welcoming any change to reduce procedures or to save time in owning a land or establishing new factory, of course. That's why I have to go back to our meeting with His Excellency, Mr. Hassan Khatib. He is focusing on a plan to reduce the steps in exports and imports, and trying to save time and money. And according to his calculation, this would save $2 billion for Egypt in the trade, which was either an obstacle for our exports or was piled to the Egyptian consumer in the market. So really he's doing a good job in the financial way to try to minimize the cost, to try to facilitate more and more steps in the ports and in the airports. This certainly will upgrade the level of the trade of Egypt and upgrade the level of the ports of Egypt, which is also it's a good sign for the trade in general if we evaluate countries.
Indeed. Sir, to what extent the public-private sector partnership actually can aid in export expansion and increase the state's competitiveness in the regional as well as in the international markets?
It depends about the sector. Some of the sectors, the public sector is doing a good job. Many of the sectors, the private is doing a great job. Of course, if we have to go for the GDP, I mean 2024, it was 50-50 between the public and the private. 1 year before, it was 70 for the public and 30 for the private, which is not good.
Of course.
I think that the government is promising that for 2025 that the public will reach 70% of the GDP more than the public. So at the end, this is a positive channel for the economy of Egypt, and I do believe that 2025 will be much better. Thanks God that the agreement between for Gaza is taking way, which is giving a sort of relaxing for the area. Also in Lebanon, the situation is getting better. We hope the same for Syria as well. We are hearing good news for Sudan. So at the end, we hope 2025 will be a better situation for our neighboring countries, which will help the economy of Egypt to increase more.
Yes, indeed. We are all hoping for a more stable region.
Sure.
Sir, we'll take this report where Egypt's Ministerial Entrepreneurship Group concludes the discussion on startup definition. More in the following story.
Prime Minister Dr. Mostafa Madbouli announced that the government is working to finalize a new export subsidy program within the first 3 months of 2025. The program will include an estimation of the required budget allocation for the upcoming fiscal year, ensuring timely financial support for exporters. This announcement was part of a broader discussion with a group of investors, where Madbouli outlined key strategies aimed at fostering economic growth and attracting foreign investments. The meeting addressed various topics including debt management, infrastructure privatization, tourism development, energy policies and the role of the private sector. Madbouli confirmed that export subsidy areas have been settled up to January 2023 and that the new program will allocate approximately $60 billion. He emphasized the importance of dispersing subsidies within the same fiscal year, a step aimed at addressing long-standing concerns among exporters. Highlighting the government's commitment to public-private partnerships, Madbouli announced that the cabinet has approved a partnership with the International Finance Corporation to manage and operate Egyptian airports. He also proposed expanding private sector involvement in managing infrastructure such as roads, water treatment plants and desalination facilities. Tourism was identified as a priority sector with plans to increase hotel capacity near the Grand Egyptian Museum and other key tourist areas. The government is targeting 18 million tourists in 2025, up from an expected 15.5 million in 2024, with a goal of generating over $22 billion in revenue. Madbouli also highlighted tourism's potential to address the dollar shortage and emphasized its rapid returns. He also suggested forming specialized advisory groups to focus on tourism and other vital sectors, aiming to maximize their contributions to economic recovery. On economic challenges, Madbouli acknowledged the impact of inflation and high interest rates, but reaffirmed the government's commitment to managing public debt and maintaining financial stability. Madbouli stated that by 2025, Egypt will meet domestic energy demands and support industrial expansion, despite global energy price challenges. He also reiterated the government's priority of subsidizing local industries to stimulate economic growth. Agriculture and export growth were also discussed, with a focus on leveraging the Suez Canal economic zone to position Egypt as a global manufacturing and export hub.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, continuing our debate here about our efforts in order to increase the export and indeed great efforts exerted by the government. Sir, how far creating smart cities and communities has become top trend in Egypt with the aim of promoting the innovation, technology and digital transformation as well?
Maybe we have talked before that Egypt is, we have launched a lot of new cities, and we have underway launching more cities with new communities, and it is linked to the strategy of Egypt for 2030. They are trying to allocate new areas depending on the sources of each area according to what they can penetrate in the economy. But in general, I think that when we go to new cities, I think even in Upper Egypt, it is really very attractive. And we know that a lot of industries are moving to Upper Egypt. I cannot tell specifically about some projects because it's under signing now, but it will be a good news for the economy of Egypt. They have chosen Upper Egypt more and more. They are happy with the infrastructure. Of course, all the services are available there. We have heard 2 days ago about a fast train serving from Aswan to Hurghada only in about 2 hours or 2 hours and 10 minutes. So it's really the whole country is moving from north to south and from east to west. And we believe, I think, that the feeling of the business people at the time being is much, much better than the previous 2-3 years. We are trying to attract more investors. We talk every day to our partners in everywhere. They are moving to Egypt. And I think that we will hear in 2025 a lot of good news about Egypt being a good hub, not only in the nearby in Cairo or Alexandria. No, it will be spread everywhere. This, of course, will afford to have good numbers of new jobs for everybody. Training is taking also a good place in everywhere. All the associations are serving in this sector with the government. If we talk about Expo-Link, we have launched the Export Academy with the Islamic Monetary Fund, which really is doing a great job because it's not only able to train Egyptians exporters, but they are able to train whatever in Africa or in the Gulf area who would like to have some sessions and courses about export. So at the end, we see that there is a lot of movement in the country, and the 2025 will be much better.
Hopefully.
Inshallah.
Sir, will digitalization allow increasing the breakthroughs in various sectors, especially the industry, as it contributes in enhancing the local manufacturing, increasing the competitiveness, and improving the national industry's quality as well as its productivity?
Of course, you know, by using always digital solutions, you will get a better data, a better results, because we have been always saying that a lot of feeding industries are able to, in Egypt, to feed back the mega projects. But nobody knows. Nobody is having the map, the data. But with the digital solutions and the digital data programs, of course, everybody will know his neighbor what he's doing, because we use always to produce, and we don't know the neighbors what they are producing, and sometimes you need some of their products. So at the end, this will definitely increase the efficiency of the industry at the end, because we believe Egypt can do a lot at the time being, not from our side, even if we are saying that, but the others are saying that. There are a lot of movement coming from Turkey. If I said, I don't want to mention a number, but we really see in Gafi a lot of applications from Turkish investors to come to Egypt. They are looking for an area to build up their factories. So I think that by digital data, everything will be easy. You can choose your land, you can apply for the land, you can apply for the imports and exports. It's going 100% digital now. You can do that from your office. You can apply, you can get the approval, the ACID number, you can get it from your desk. Before it was not like that. So it is saving a lot of money, saving a lot of time as well, and giving more efficiency for the process of the trade.
Sir, how can the state help the companies in various economic sectors to improve and adapt their products to better compete in the international markets?
Trade agreements. Egypt is always very active in having a sort of trade agreements. As we have seen, I can say Egypt, one of the countries which is a member of several trade agreements, either regional or in the global. We are trying to evaluate each agreement, and if we see a benefit, we are of course discussing to join. So I think this is one sector can be done. The second is of course supporting the manufacturers and the exporters by joining international fairs, either in or out. And this is a part, of course, of the program of, if we call the export subsidy. I don't like to say it like that, or export support, but I like to call it the burden reimbursement program, really. But this is a part, and I think that there is no 1 week in the year, there is no one fair or exhibition, either in or out, and the Egyptians are participating. So I can tell that in early February, one of the big exhibitions for the fresh fruits and vegetables in Germany. It's called the Fruit Logistica. I think not less than 85 Egyptian companies are going to participate there as exhibitors, and maybe double that number will be going there as a visitors. So everybody is moving. I cannot count, but every week we have an exhibition for Egyptian exports and the manufacturers.
Sir, the digital technologies are one of the areas where innovative improvements actually could be made to existing products to help to enhance their functionality and to provide them with a competitive edge in the global market. Can you shed light on that?
It is As we mentioned, that we have, before digital solutions, I think that if we remind 10 years ago or 5 years ago, how we were moving, it was really very tough and very difficult. But at the time being, you cannot imagine that you can have a data just in 1 or 2 minutes, if you like, to have a data about feeding industries, about the capability, about the capacity, about the quality measures, about if we can say that you can have a traceability good system for your work at the time being. You can really get whatever quality and quantity you need just by easy way to have this data. So everybody is trying to facilitate. I think the life is getting much more better. Joining foreign investors is also helping the Egyptian investors, because they are coming not only with money.
Yes.
No, they are coming with ideas and with the technology and so on. So everybody now have to work together. As we say that there was always said before that there is maybe a national product which you produce 100% in your country. And after that you can have international product if you can export that. And then it came multinational product, which is joined between 2 or 3, and now it is multinational products. I think if you look to your even mobile, it's not produced in one country. Every part in the mobile is manufactured in one country. You can have 50 countries participating in the mobile right now. So every country have something to do, have something to join others. Everybody have to work together. And Egypt was always trying and open the gates to everyone to try to come, or either we are able to go right now. And I think that in 2025 we will see a lot of movement from Egyptians into Africa as well.
Yeah.
So I think that...
you mean here by exporting more in Africa, or business to be initiated?
Investments. We can, I mean, a lot of sectors are doing a very good job. If we can talk about engineering in the industries, I cannot tell that one of the African country, all the gauge, the electrical gauge in this country is done in Egyptian. It's very, I mean, even the cables, even the material of the cables are exported from Egypt to Africa. So I think that the building material is doing a great job in Africa as well. And you can, we can say that Egypt have exported 2024 about $3.5 billion of gold as well. And this is, it's a continuous investment, I think will be in 2025 and the 3-4 coming years. Gold trade and gold industry will be one of the main core for the Egyptian exports.
Sir, how will Egypt's transformation towards technology and towards digitalization foster its export to foreign markets, whether goods, services, or even technologies?
We know that there was a strategy for the country for digitalization. I think since Her Excellency Hala Said launched that really. And she did a very good job at that time. And I think that the strategy is going day by day on. And most of the ministers are now following that. Most of the service hubs are following the same. We see really that what we are doing at the time being is easier and faster than 4 or 5 years before. And always we say that we are fighting with the time, because time is money.
Indeed.
So at the end we are trying to save every day a penny. So at the end you are increasing your competitiveness. If you are saving your input cost, I think that the competitiveness will be higher and higher. So at the end, its equation will lead to increase the exports.
Sir, actually, the government is working in order to finalize a new export subsidy program within the first 3 months of the current year, 2025. How far the program has ensured timely financial support for the exporters?
It is not subsidy program. It is, we can say it is a support program, because subsidy in general in the WTO is not a welcomed word. So, and we all like to say that it is the burden reimbursement program, because really manufacturers and exporters are having a lot of burdens. Just to look for the interest rate. If you are going to have a loan from a bank, how much you are going to pay? Too much. So this is a burden. So the government is having this program to try to reimburse the burdens according to the economical problem which have faced Egypt, starting from COVID-19 and starting from the Russian war to Ukraine. And then the interest rate have increased a lot and everywhere. Until this time, not even the developed countries are not controlling themselves and not trying to come again, or not able to come again to the point before this war. So this is a burden for the Egyptian exporters. So the government, of course, with the help of the exporters and the investors, because they sit together, and we have seen that last few days there was several councils or advisory councils for several items to the Prime Minister and to the government. We all have seen that, and they are very well respected people. They have a great experience, each group in their field, and I think that His Excellency Prime Minister Mostafa have mentioned that the exporters and the exporting councils are a part of the new support program, if you can say. So they are going to sit with Mr. Hassan Khatib, the Minister of Foreign Trade and Investment, to try to form a new program which will be effective in 2025.
Indeed. Engineer Mostafa Nagary, Deputy Chairman of the Egyptian Exporters Association Expo-Link, and Agriculture and Irrigation Committee Chairman in Egyptian Businessmen Association. Thank you so much for being our guest for tonight.
Always a pleasure to me. Thank you so much.
And with that, our viewers, we come to the end of this edition of our Daily Debate. Many thanks for watching.